Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Michaela Peterson podcast. In this episode, I spoke with Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride, author of Gut and Psychology Syndrome, creator of the GAPS diet. Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride has a degree in medicine and postgraduate degrees in both neurology and human nutrition. In her clinic in Cambridge, she specializes in nutrition for children and adults with behavioral and learning disabilities and adults with digestive and immune system disorders. The GAPS diet basically starts off like the carnivore diet, and it's a dietary treatment that's quite successful, even though not widely accepted by mainstream medicine, something we discuss in this episode. I wanted to speak with Dr. Natasha because her way of treating health, starting with the gut, began decades ago, before the carnivore diet was known at all. She's absolutely brilliant. One thing we may disagree on, or I haven't decided completely, she adds in a certain type of raw milk to help heal the gut. Let me know what you guys think of that, if you tried it. I think the connection between dairy and inflammatory conditions is fairly solid. At least it was for me. However, not all dairy is equal, which is something we discuss in this episode. We also delve into foods in the GAPS diet, her opinions on mainstream medicine, the microbiome, and her opinion on North American cows, which was hilarious, to be honest. This is a Russian lady that is very Russian, very smart, and really knows her stuff. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hello, it's really nice to meet you.
Hello, Michaela. Hello, nice to meet you too.
Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. I read a lot of your work in, I think it was 2016 when I first started to try and get my autoimmune disorder under control. And I was eliminating foods left, right, and center without any idea of what to do, really. And I came across your book about a year into my diet, and I think it aligned shockingly well with what I had already figured out just trying to treat myself. So I wanted to introduce you to my audience because I think the work you've done is incredibly important.
Thank you. What autoimmune disorder did you have?
Juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. It was later re-diagnosed as juvenile idiopathic arthritis, but it was severe. I had my hip and ankle replaced when I was 17. So, yes, it was tough. But I thought what we should just get started. If you could give a bit of a brief background to my audience about who you are and what it is you do.
Hello, my name is Natasha Campbell-McBride. I'm the creator of a concept of GAPS, Gut and Psychology Syndrome and Gut and Physiology Syndrome. The concept of GAPS establishes a connection between the functioning of the digestive system in the person and the functioning of the rest of the body. Hippocrates, all those thousands of years ago, the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, made a statement that all diseases begin in the gut. And the more we learn with our modern scientific tools, the more we realize just how correct he was. My first GAPS book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, focused on the function of the brain, on all the problems that we can have with that function. Learning disabilities in children and adults and mental illness. I've just completed the second GAPS book, Gut and Physiology Syndrome, which will come out this autumn. This year, wow. Which focuses on the rest of the body, and it completes the GAPS concept. GAPS concept has become a global phenomenon from the time when the first book came out. The first book has been translated into 20 languages, and there are more translations coming in. And millions of people around the world are using this protocol for healing from chronic degenerative diseases.
Yeah. Okay. So when did your first book come out?
2004. And the second edition came out in 2010. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I found out about the GAPS diet, I think in 2016, like I said, but you were one of the first people who were, kind of before the whole paleo diet became something people do, or the keto diet, or right now what I'm on is called the carnivore diet. I mean, you were way before all of that. And I think you have elements of each of those diets in your protocol. So could you give a bit of a background about what you do in order to heal the gut? And that's what you believe is the cause of most illnesses?
I don't just believe it. I know it because this is all my clinical experience with thousands of patients and the clinical experience of thousands of other holistic doctors confirm the fact that all diseases begin in the gut, all of them. So what is GAPS? What do we have in a GAPS person? We have an epidemic of GAPS, particularly in the Western world. And as mother and father pass their gut flora to the child at the moment of birth, this epidemic is getting deeper with every generation. We have a person with abnormal gut flora. Gut flora is that mass of microbes that live inside your digestive system. And it's, in a healthy situation, a highly balanced microbial community. There's all kinds of creatures in there, living in harmony with each other. They all plant each other, eat each other, control each other, don't allow any one of them to get out of control. And as a balanced community, as a harmonious community, all of these microbes work very well together and they serve our body very, very well. Problem is, we humans are very good at creating imbalances in nature. Human body is a part of nature. Every time you take antibiotics, you kill off bacteria, only bacteria. These bacteria were controlling fungi, viruses, protozoa, archaea, worms, flukes, and all kinds of other creatures that live in that harmonious community inside your body. Once you've knocked out the bacteria, all these other creatures suddenly become uncontrolled. They overgrow, the whole balance is gone, and all the creatures which were beneficial for us as part of a harmonious, balanced community, when out of control, when overgrowing, become pathogens. Because there are no such thing as a good microbe or a bad microbe. All microbes can cause disease, every one of them. It's the balance, it's the overall diversity and the balance in the microbial community that makes every microbe do only good things for you. But every microbe, when it gets out of control, can cause disease and can cause disorder. And that's what happens in GAPS people. And as I said, the mother and the father pass their gut flora to the child at the moment of birth. We have now generations of people with damaged gut flora. And with every generation, it becomes worse and worse. Because, for example, if grandparents had maybe 1 or 2 courses of antibiotics, which came out on the market in the 1950s or 60s, slightly damaged their gut flora, and then they passed that slightly damaged gut flora to their children. But then their children grew up in a very different world, very different to the world where their parents grew up in. They grew up in a world where antibiotics were given to them for every cough and sneeze, where agricultural industry appeared on the planet, which is using increasing numbers of agricultural chemicals, most of which are antibiotics in their nature. They don't just kill bacteria, they kill all kinds of microbes. They destroy all kinds of microbes. At the same time, food industry appeared on the planet, which destroys food and turns it into concoctions, chemical concoctions, which pollute human bodies, don't feed them very well, and feed pathogenic microbes, cause complete havoc in the human body. And then they grew up in the generations where girls were given contraceptive pill from a very young age, and they took that pill for quite a few years before they're ready to start their family. The pill has a devastating effect on the immune system of the woman, hormonal system, and on her microbiome, on her microbial community in her body. Because we have microbial community not only in the gut, we have microbes everywhere in the human body.